and welcome to the Luken Gallagher show. I am Luken. This is my show, and thank you for tuning in today. Or is it tubing in since this is YouTube? Who knows? And yes, that is a bad joke to start with, but don't worry, it will get better, I promise. So, I'm here to talk about ads, advertising, copy, marketing, and all of that great stuff, so you can get a better understanding of the what, whys, and hows behind some of the best ad campaigns in the world. I'll be talking about the themes and what the author is doing and why. This will give you a great understanding of the way that these marketing pieces are written, and it's an outstanding way for you to get a feel for these type of things by breaking them down. Today, we are breaking down a classic. It's a sales letter from Martin Conroy, who was an American journalist and former US Army vet, who wrote the piece we are looking at today called The Tale of Two Young Men. Now, I am sure you've heard of the Wall Street Journal. On the off chance if you haven't, it's an American business-focused daily newspaper that is based in New York City, and it has impressively been continuously printed since way back in 1889. So that will help give you an idea of who the target audience is for the review that we'll be doing today. And before we start, there's a full version of this ad on my Instagram, so if you do want to check it out, there's a link in the description below. And this is also one of my favorite pieces of copy written. It's just, it's hard to describe. You'll see it to the end, and it's just a master of subtlety, and they'll all be revealed as we get through this. Now, feel free to pause this video where you need to read along if you like. Shall we get started? The author starts with a nice story to introduce us to the situation. It's a story the target audience can identify with. Many reading this will be able to relate and build that emotional connection early on here, especially with a very specific wordplay here. Martin really doubles down on the relatability by making them average, just an everyday normal businessman, just like you, who the target audience is aimed at. The work he is doing here to build that relatability and connection to the copy is done deliberately to hook and reel the reader in. An opening section like this is designed to encourage the reader to read on, and that's the main part of any first paragraph or first section in any type of sales letter. You need your reader to read on, you need something they can connect to early, and you need something that's encouraging, exciting, and inviting for them to carry on. Now, at this stage, the author has introduced two themes as well, the theme of two and the difference theme. Intrigue is being built in the last sentence in part 1 here, where Martin talks about difference. This is a precision strike of intrigue right here, reeling us in right from the start with that relatable story that his target audience can identify and understand, and then introducing the question about difference really makes the audience start to feel it. Now, all of a sudden, the audiences ask themselves, yeah, what was different between me and so-and-so I went to school with? And then the author seals the deal of our interest with this brilliant next subheading: what made the difference? Now, there is a deliberate change in tactic here, as the author creates a worldly feel. This plays on that theme of difference as we move to a section that feels larger, bigger, and partly bolder. It's less intimate than the personal setting we had before, playing on that theme of two people who were the same and now suddenly so different. But how? Martin brings it again back to being relatable to the audience, talking with us in that worldly larger tone. Now, there is a great little line here. The difference lies in what each person knows and how he or she makes use of that knowledge. It's a little line that really makes this such a great piece. It's a line that changes everything, but in such a way that you take it in subconsciously and never see the true power of it yet. The author introduces the theme of knowledge, and knowing that, we can see why his tone has changed, and again, touching on that theme of difference here to give its readers knowledge. And in this next section, a publication unlike any other, Martin starts again with that theme of difference with the subheading, calling it unique. Then goes on to state that it's the country's only business daily. Again, pushing that theme of difference and saying there is nothing you can compare this to. These for the product. He creates a feeling of power, authority, and expertise here. He goes back to the theme of two and difference again by talking about what you would normally expect to find and what you wouldn't expect to find here. Martin then comes around again to knowledge. At this stage of the story, the author has created a relatable story for the target audience, making us wonder, what made these two men so different? What set them apart? This question really brought us in early, and then we were lightly slipped in that implication of knowledge. And most importantly, knowing what to do with it is what set these two men apart. And all of this is done without ever saying so, because knowledge is power, which, funnily enough, is the name of the section too. Now, at this stage, it feels a little off topic. Like he is too focused on the journal and had forgotten about the two men he was talking about earlier. He covers all aspects of the journal here, telling us about what makes it different and all of the great benefits that we will get out of it. What the journal is filled with, all these fascinating and significant information that's useful to you. Daily columns on personal money management. And the wordplay here is really smart. You have words like better investor, wiser spender, and really playing on that theme of knowledge here. There are weekly columns on small business marketing, real estate technology, and all this type of information that you would need to get ahead. But the key part, again, we kind of overlooked here, was that subheading. Knowledge is power. Now, we can start to see that all of this has all been specifically done. Like he was sharing a secret with us, telling us without telling us. And this is really brilliant because of that knowledge and knowing theme. Because now the audience has started putting all these deftly laid clues together, like some sort of business detective. I don't know, a CEO like Holmes, if you will. It's a silent implication. It's a nod. It's a wink to all of those who are in the know to pick up on. The subscription section, he brings in that theme of two and difference here, talking about the pricing and how much you will save and benefit compared to someone else. Someone else that maybe you went to school with 25 years ago. He plays around with that knowledge again, sharing our best buy, touching on that theme of difference again as it sets you apart from the rest, having that knowledge to gain that discount. And remember that previous section, knowledge is power. Martin now brings it back to that point. He ends this by reinforcing it and linking it back to the original questions that came in the first part of this piece, when we come back to these two men, which hooked us in originally. He has told us so much at this point that he has answered the question of what set these two men apart without ever specifically saying so. Precision striking with the end of this section, again, talking about knowledge and knowing and what you can do with it. It's an investment in success. This gives it a great feeling of truth, and this builds a massive amount of trust with the reader. It adds a realistic believability. The audience knows success is an instant, and it shows that we can trust the author because he's being realistic with his promise here. And the use of that headline really helps to sell it. With success not being instant, the audience puts together another clue. And now, see why he talked about subscriptions in that earlier section. All deliberately laid out for the target audience to put together like a giant copy jigsaw puzzle here. Overall, I feel Martin really made some great use of themes here, and his choice of subheadings was spot on too. He knew exactly who the target audience was and their pain points of frustration, and was able to craft a story that they could easily relate to, get them invested. And with that point about what set them apart is something that many of us in all walks of life, it hits on pain points of frustration and stress of workers, making them ask themselves, why weren't they succeeding when they did everything the same as their friend? But for me, the real power of this piece is his use of knowledge and knowing. And his use of it is never direct. he never tells the reader that this or that is the reason why. He really just plays with this. And in doing this, the reader feels like they have uncovered what set them apart all by themselves, because they were smart enough and because they have that knowledge and they knew what to do with it. This piece has brilliantly told you to buy the Wall Street Journal without actually saying so. It's played the reader and guided them to that conclusion. And that's it. And as I said earlier, this is one of my all-time favorite pieces of copy ever. It's an outstanding success for the Wall Street Journal. They've sold over 2 billion, that's billion with a B, in subscription sales from this sales letter alone. It has been a massive success. So thanks for tuning in. Now, like any great marketing, there needs to be a call to action, and that is for you to hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it, and it really helps me out. And of course, subscribe too. That would also really help me out, and I can keep bringing you these classic copy breakdowns, other marketing videos, and bits and pieces that will help you help yourself. And before I sign off, please do check out the Wall Street Journal. It is still a great place for all your businessy needs, and let them know that I sent you. And that's it. Have a rocking day or night. Cheers. Have a good one. I'm out.